peace, and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's just kind of talk about that big interview that former President Donald Trump had done with Meet the Press. Some of the things that he said, how some people say he might have actually incriminated himself, and some of his thoughts about the state of democracy in the country. We'll have that conversation. Also, can we at least talk about this other situation I saw, folks, where there's a discrimination or this sacrifice, how a Houston school had suspended a black student for his hair length. But I'm going to share with you what the school officials had to say as to reason why. And it's not discrimination, according to them. All right, we'll talk to also later on. We'll be checking in with Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness. She's going to talk to us about the latest around the federal reform, or at least legalizing cannabis, and how there's a major development that has occurred, or at least being considered, and a whole lot more. Stay with us, folks. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to my online culture crew that's checking in right now from all around the country. And folks are filling up the chat. Folks, we are streaming right now live on social media platforms of Facebook and, of course, on YouTube, where you can find us. And just go under Roland Martin's YouTube page and boom, get ready to jump into the chat. And people are already in there. So many people. But big shout out to my online culture crew. I see you, Pastor Damon Blissett. Peace, brother. Good to see you, sir. Shalinda, good to see you. Deidre, thank you. Pauline Hurt checking in from Cleveland. And got Tiana, my sister. Thank you so much for checking in. My big brother, Willie Frazier. Good to connect with you. The ABX girl. Hiya, ABX girl. Good to connect with you. Man of God, good connecting with you as well. I see you, man of God. Thank you as always for checking in. And so many others. Yvonne Harris, welcome to the crew. Welcome. Cindy D, my sister. Thank you so much for checking in as always. Shalandra Garcia, good connecting with you. And Shalandra, we hope to hear from you. My sister Anastasia Pageant. Anastasia, peace and love to you as well. And I hope all of my wonderful culture crew members had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. Try to get some rest, but you know how that goes when you are a parent. So you know how it goes. But folks, I am so grateful that you're able to tune in. Make sure that you also check us out on our home website at blackstarnetwork.com to find us as we're streaming live there. And we're also streaming on Amazon under Amazon News for Fire TV. And we got a big announcement coming tomorrow relating to Amazon. So I cannot wait to share that with you. But we are right now on Amazon News for Fire TV, and we're on Plex TV, where you can find us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, folks, let's check in. Let's talk a little bit about this latest situation. As we know, former President Donald Trump, he's been under scrutiny. We all know about his legal issues, the 91 counts that's against him right now, 4 indictments and all of that jazz. But he recently sat down with Meet the Press to talk to the American people about where he stands on a wide range of issues. And one of the big things he kind of gleaned from that conversation that he had with NBC News correspondent Kristen Welker was his take on democracy. Let me share with you what he first said on that. He said, when the question was asked by Christian, do you believe in democracy? He said, I do, but it has to be a democracy that's fair. This democracy, I don't consider us to have much of a democracy right now. He suggested that U.S. democracy was unfair because of the indictments he currently faces for allegedly mishandling classified documents, attempting to conceal hush money payments to women ahead of an election, and trying to overturn the 2020 election. But he also said it's not fair because of tough questions from the news media asking Welker why she was fighting me on some answers. He said, quote, people understand what's going on. We need a media that's free and fair. And frankly, if they don't have that, it's very, very hard to straighten out our country. Very hard to straighten out our country. So you're talking about media, you're talking about the state of democracy in America. The crazy part about this, folks, is that he says he believes this stuff. He says he thinks that this is okay, but then he goes into personal grievances. Let me tell y'all something, folks. Let me tell you something. You know, you ever talk to someone who always feel like they're the victim? They always jumped into the victim. Oh my gosh, it's woe is me type of thing, right? And they cannot acknowledge when they have actually done something wrong to the point where evidence is piling up, people, witnesses are being spilling the beans, spilling the tea, and yet you're still in a space of denial. This is the candidate that's running for president of the United States. This is the guy that the GOP is putting its bet on, albeit it's not a safe bet. It's a very risky bet. But this is the guy that some of the American people believe is fit for the highest office in the land. Now, do I expect him to say, "Oh, democracy, it's beautiful, it's perfect"? Not at all. I think that one of the great liberties and rights of this country is that, unlike it in other spaces, and I know some people may not agree with me, but I'm just saying, let's think about this for a minute. We can actually say things about the government, right? And we are, quote unquote, it's protected. That level of speech, that kind of speech is actually protected within the Constitution, that and we're not going to get locked up. Someone is not knocking on your door if you said, "I don't agree with President Biden. I don't like this person on that person," right? You're not getting those types of visits. There are media companies that don't agree with the government, but they're still in operation. There are institutions that don't agree with the government, but they're still in operation. We are not in a space, and this is something that we just got to keep in mind, that we are not in a space where we're being, what's the word I'm looking for, folks, censored to the point where we can't speak. We can protest in the streets. This is probably one of the fundamental rights as being a part of this country, being able to speak your mind without suffering the consequences of a government to come down hard on you for just simply speak your mind. So yeah, he makes the point that this is not a democracy. Now, let me share with you the other thing that he makes. In the interview, like I said, it's a wide-ranging interview where he talks about a number of things. But let me share with you the other thing, because it brought, of course, the reporter brought up the fact that he has 91 counts, that he has indictments. He doesn't believe, he also said in this interview, and I think this is interesting, he said, "I do not think about going to prison." He doesn't think about it. He doesn't even, it's just like, oh, that's not happening. Going to prison, it's not a thing to think about. And this, I don't know, folks, anyone who has this many counts, this many indictments, and don't think about going to prison. People with 2 charges think about going, not 91. So he doesn't think about going to prison. All right, let's look at this. This is the other thing. Of course, talking to him, and I can only imagine being his current lawyer. This man has gone through so many lawyers, but I can only imagine his current lawyer. Like, Mr. Trump, I don't think you should do a national interview and have these questions. No, I want to do this. I want to get my word out. I want to tell my story. Because this stuff could be used against you, folks. It could be used against him. But this is what he said about his legal advice, about the whole situation around the big lie, the fact that he keeps promoting this idea that the 2020 election was a fraud and that essentially he's the winner. He said, quote, when asked about did he get some advice from other people about this situation of the election, he said, yes, he got advice. He said, we have many people and it's my choice. later adding, "It was my decision, but I listened to some people. It was his decision to move forward to say that the election was a lie." Top administration and campaign lawyers told Trump he had lost the election and that there was no evidence of fraud. But there were outside attorneys, including several who faced legal jeopardy themselves, who helped Trump not only contest the election, but collect slates of fake electors in order to upend the electoral vote count in Congress. He said he didn't listen to White House and campaign attorneys because I didn't respect them as lawyers. He said those lawyers turn out to be rhinos, Republicans in name only, or they turn out to be not so good in many cases. The key to gaining his respect, he suggested, was to agree with the fabricated claim that he was cheated out of his second term. Now, I've heard this, folks, that President Trump, former President Trump, is a man that loves loyalty. So if you are going to ride on that bandwagon with him, he needs to make sure that you ride or die all the way, okay? But loyalty. But he was told, look, from people who are all the way up, campaign attorneys, administration attorneys, the election was not a fraud, sir. It was not a fraud. This was actually fair and square. No. So you chose to make this decision. You chose to put out this lie to the American people, and yet you still want the seat of power. This says a lot, folks. This says a lot. Those are the two big things: his view on democracy and his view on his advice around the 2020 election. It speaks volumes. Pretty unspiritual. Let me go to you very quickly. Welcome to the culture. Welcome to the crew. You said because he thinks that he is so privileged, he needs to just get ready to put a jumpsuit on and wait on his butter and jelly sandwiches for his dinners. Okay. He thinks he's privileged. You think he's above the law in a lot of ways. I think that you're absolutely right. Lana, my sister, you say everybody knows Trump is a liar, but he uses truth to speak to his advantage. People do not believe the media is unfair. That's why he resignates. I'm sorry, people do believe the media is unfair. That's why he resignates. I agree, and everybody doesn't believe he's a liar. Right, Lana? Come on. Everyone doesn't believe he's a liar. That's why he does have a core group of supporters and followers, because guess what? They don't think he lied. All right. James Gonzalez, you checked in. Thank you, Lana. Always good to connect with you, sis. James, you checked in and said it's a representative democracy. We have a lot of different terms, James, and I think you would agree with me. Some people say it's a republic. This is a republic democracy. I mean, there's a lot of different titles that we can use to describe this form of government. One thing is for sure, it needs to be changed. But I don't know if putting a man like Trump, who this is the indicator I got from his remarks, and then we got to take a quick pause. The indicator I got is that if he is allowed to get back into the seat of power, if he becomes president, democracy as we know it will change forever. I do believe that. I believe that he will try to do his best to move stuff around, to diminish the power of some institutions and emphasize the power of other institutions. He may even try to change the whole system, the electoral college system, or to change the popular vote system, even though this is the system that was outlined in the United States Constitution. So I think that it is possible that we're going to see something if he becomes president of the United States. Folks, I got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Plus, I got a story around hair that is discriminatory to me. It may be the same thing for you. But then it's also very disturbing what one school official had to say as to the reason why they suspended a Black student about the length of his hair. So we're going to have that conversation up next as well. Stay with us. A lot to cover in this first hour of the culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work, for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half. More money for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape. With me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking a little bit about just some of the key moments from the conversation former President Donald Trump has had with NBC's Meet the Press, as he spoke on a wide range of issues and concerns about the Democrats, about the Republicans, the state of democracy, and the latest around his legal affairs, his ongoing legal affairs. And even though Trump tried to present himself in a certain way, folks, it's hard for me to believe that he doesn't have some very real concerns about the state of his own thinking, the state of his affairs. It's hard for me to believe that. It's hard for me to believe that. But I do think one thing, though, that there is a great concern in JLF. JLF, you said I'm scared. Oh, you said I'm scared. Oh, I'm not scared, JLF, because guess what? See, we have to remember that there's a greater force and power that's already present right now in the minds and the hearts of the people. Consciousness is happening all across this country among Black people and white people, among Latinos and Asians. People are waking up. And if you said that I'm scared, I'm not scared. This is going to be a day of reckoning. And it's not about Trump, the personality. It's really about the ideas that Trump puts out there and what he represents. The privilege, the white privilege, white supremacy, these ideas. See, white supremacy is such a poison that it not only infects those who it oppresses, but it also infects the oppressor. That's how poisonous it's gotten. So white America is not going to be able to run from the damage that has been done as a result of white supremacy on black people, on any other groups of people. White America is going to have to face the music on that too. So is it about being scared, or is it about just simply saying that this guy, again, this is not about him. If America brings him into, if he's elected to office, then we just have to move accordingly. But I'm already convinced, folks, as black folks in this country, we have undergone some of the worst human treatment that any group of people has ever undergone. We're still here. I'm not afraid of Trump. When we went through chattel slavery, Jim Crow, let's just go down the list. Why are we afraid? Why are we afraid? Why would we be afraid? We don't have to be afraid, because why? This is our time, and this is the perfect opportunity for us to do something different, to redefine our relationship with the United States government as black folks in this country. Now, I'm gonna put a stop there on this part of the conversation. Later on, there were some things that happened that President Trump tweeted out about liberal Jews. We're not going to have time to talk about it today, but folks, trust and believe we're going to talk about it. But trust me, something is happening in this country. Black America, we as Black Americans, or black folks in this country, however you want to put it, darker skinned people, some of us don't like to use the term black, that's all well and good. But guess what? In the confines and in the boundaries of this country, we as black folks are going to have to figure out a different strategy as it relates to our relationship. And more importantly, as it relates to the evolving and the growing change that is happening within our democracy. We are going to have to figure that out. And guess what, folks? White America will have to do the same thing as well. All right. All right, let me just switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about this other story, because I think it's indicative of where we are in this country. This is the story out of Houston, Texas, about a young brother named Daryl George, who is a junior at Barbers Hill High School in Mount Bellevue. And apparently, Daryl George was suspended. He was given an in-school suspension after he was told his hair fell below his eyebrows and earlobes. Let me post this first note here, Lise. Let's do that. This is according to NBC News. He received an in-school suspension after he was told his hair fell below his eyebrows and earlobes. Looking at the first paragraph, folks. George, 17 years old, wears his hair in thick, twisted dreadlocks tied on top of his head, according to his mom, Darisha George. Now, Miss George said her son has been growing his dreadlocks for nearly 10 years, and the family never received pushback or complaints until now. When let down, his dreadlocks hang above his shoulders. She says she couldn't understand how he violated the dress code when his hair was pinned up. Now, he did the in-school suspension, but y'all know, like I know, that this is another act against our heritage, our history, because locks is a part of our history, right? It's a part of who we are. We know that the hair on our head is as important as the eyes in our head, is as important as the ears out of our head. That is our crown. And so we know that there has been a number of conversations about hair discrimination in this country, so much so that the Crown Act in various states, and over 20-something states, 20+ states, they have implemented the Crown Act, which is banning any type of hair discrimination, protecting those who wear their hair differently. And apparently in Texas, this is still up in this part of Texas, in the Mount Bellevue, Houston area. This is still part of the debate. But let me share with you very quickly what the one school official said about this, because I got to ask the question, is this about discrimination or is this about sacrifice? And you may say, well, sacrifice, yeah, sacrifice. According to Barber Hills Independent School District, take a look at this, folks. This is from NBC News. Barber Hills School District, Independent School District, they prohibit male students from having hair extending below the eyebrows, earlobes, or top of a t-shirt collar, according to the student handbook. Wow. Additionally, hair on all students must be clean, well-groomed, geometrical, and not an unnatural color or variation. The school does not require uniforms. It gets better, folks. It gets better. Take a look. Greg Poole has been district superintendent since 2006, said the policy is legal and teaches students to conform as a sacrifice benefiting everyone. He said, when you are actually conform and give up something for the betterment of the whole, there is a psychological benefit. We need more teaching of sacrifice. More teaching of sacrifice? Y'all gonna have to help me to understand what the hell Mr. Poole is talking about. When did conforming help to make a person feel better about themselves, and that would lead to the betterment of society? When did that happen? When did we stop telling people to not express themselves and that was beneficial? Can y'all help me on this, crew? Can we help you on this? McCole, you checked in. Good to connect with you again. McCole, you said it is a shame that Black people still have to go through hair discrimination. Our hair is beautiful, unique, and versatile. Absolutely. But y'all get to what Mr. Poole said, that it's about conforming and sacrifice. What violation, what offense is being made for a student to wear his hair a certain length? Please explain that to me. How is that going against the betterment of society? Tiana, you said, why just can't we be left the hell alone? The ABX girl, you said, this is what happens when you send your kids to these schools. Vic Wicked, you said, in response to Willie Frazee, the Crown Act was passed in Texas, but this school is violating the law. They say they were not violating the law. Ain't that something, Vic? They say they're not violating the law, but what kind of thinking is that? I got to take another quick pause. But I want us to think about this. See, we're in a culture right now where people don't want you to express your unique, special self. You see what I'm saying? And that's part of the cultural war. The part of the big element of the cultural war, folks, that we're seeing in this country is that folks want us to go along to get along and to shut up our mouths and essentially to shut up and dribble, shut up and cook, shut up and just don't do nothing. Don't express yourself because it's for the betterment of society. I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk a little bit more about this. Absolute insane. I mean, just crazy that you want a young man to cut his hair because you think it's better to teach about sacrifice. Sacrifice is certainly good, but when you conform to an unjust rules or unjust system or a system that don't see your uniqueness, how is that better? Let's talk a little bit more about it. Stay with us, folks. You're tuned into The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half. More money for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We're talking about this latest case of discrimination where 17-year-old Daryl George of Mont Bellevue, near in the Houston area, was given an in-school suspension, apparently by his school district, for wearing his hair too long. And as a result of that, it has reignited the conversation about the crown, about our hair. But according to school officials, and specifically Mr. Greg Poole, who served as the superintendent since 2006, he made the point that the policy is legal, teaches students to conform as a sacrifice benefiting everyone. I really don't understand what Mr. Poole is talking about. How my hair on my head distracts, violates the rights of, or is impeding upon the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and freedom of another individual. How does that happen? Because if we get into the micromanaging of how people express themselves, as we are seeing in this particular case, and this is just straight discrimination, folks. This is not about sacrifice and conforming. This is what it is. This is discrimination. And it may even go as far as say this is racism, or at least some form of bias. But how does that hurt? How does that work? How does that work? How does a person who expresses themselves, who do what they want to do to their own body, becomes a violation of someone else's rights. Now, if a person wears their hair in a different color, why would that bother me? Y'all talk to me on this, man. If a person were to dress a certain way, why would that bother me? How is that a violation of my rights? I'm not understanding. See, this is again adding to the long list of situations and cases, folks, where Black folks do not have autonomy over their own bodies. We are not allowed to be just who we are. And this is 2023. Can you imagine the messaging that was sent to this little young brother, Daryl George, 17 years old, to tell him he can't go to school, or he's suspended rather, in school suspension. And Vic Wicked, you checked in and you said this was something that he was given suspension to do every day. Can you imagine what are you telling him, that he can't be himself, he can't express himself? He might be a good kid. He might be the type of young student who does well, who participates in civic organization, who's a part of a productive member of the school community, and you're worried about his hair. And then you want to put some more yeast in it and say that there needs to be more teaching of sacrifice. Here's the funny thing about this idea of sacrifice, folks. How come those who are oppressed, those who have given the most, those who have gained the least, are always asked to make the sacrifice? Why is that? I'm gonna say that again, folks. How come those who have been oppressed, those who have given the most, those who have gained the least, are always the ones to be told that they need to make a sacrifice, as if they're not already making a sacrifice just in their own existence? Why is that? Why do we put that type of weight on people? We do that not just with Black folks, but we do the same thing with poor people in this country, right? We blame the poor. We blame those who don't have for not having, and as a result of that, since you don't have, that violates me. That offends my eyes to see you homeless. That offends me that I have to put my dollars into a system to support you. That's offensive to me, even though you don't have nothing and I got a little something. Your poverty, your oppression, your destitute condition is an offense to me. Come on, let's talk to it. Let's talk about this a little bit. And this is crazy. Willie, my big brother, you said Willie Frazier, he's copping a plea, and when the family sues, the plea will be laughed at. Yeah, I agree. Conscious thought. You said we're on the precipice of something evil. I don't believe people are as energized as they should be in fighting back against right-wing ignorance. And you were speaking to our sister Shalinda, said probably not Black, but definitely ignorant. But you're saying we're on the precipice of something evil. You don't believe, as Black don't believe people, are as energized as they should be in fighting back against right-wing ignorance. And it's not just right-wing ignorance, it's white supremacy at its root. You know what I'm saying, conscious thought? It is so deeply ingrained in all of us that there's no element, there's no place, no area of our lives, folks, where white supremacy isn't the order of the day. Not one. In every space, social, political, economic, educational, health, white supremacy is at the root of all of those systems. Pastor Damon, my big brother, you said sacrifice to whose standards? Come on, man. To whose standards? How many of us are going to teach our children to conform to a system or to a people who don't give a damn about our own personal expression? Who's going to teach their children? And this is not just for Black children, this is for white children. How many of us are going to actually teach another human being that you need to dim your light so you don't offend someone else. Shit. Let me see who else we got here. Cindy D, my sister, you said, because white privilege sees themselves as the best, we are the least of those, so we are supposed to sacrifice who we are. Absolutely. Absolutely. This type of thing, it gets to me, folks. It gets to me. I want to share just a couple of things, then we got to take another quick pause and switch gears to talk about our health and wellness. Of course, the mother, Miss George, she is fighting this all the way. She said in this interview with NBC that she even had a discussion about the Crown Act with the principal and vice principal. They said the act does not cover the length of his hair. They don't cover the length of his hair. The school had another issue before with another black male student over the dress code. According to the records, Barbers Hill officials told a student he had to cut his dreadlocks to return to school or participate in the graduation in 2020, which garnered national attention. Ms. George said she and her son refused to conform to a standard set by someone who is uncomfortable or ignorant. She said, my son is well groomed and his hair is not distracting from anyone's education. This has everything to do with the administration being prejudiced towards black hairstyles, toward black culture. The district defended its dress code, saying its policies are meant to teach grooming and hygiene, instill discipline, prevent disruption, avoid safety hazards, and teach respect for authority. How the hell? This is crazy, y'all. Absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. Let me hear what y'all got to say very quickly, then we're going to take another quick pause. Absolutely insane. Benny Hill, you said right-wing white supremacy fascism. My son has locks and he's keeping them. Exactly. Exactly. Every time we make some gains, in some way, shape, or form, somebody is there to try to bring us back. People often say, well, why are black folks so angry? You ever had one of those very real conversations? Why are y'all so angry? We can't even grow and style our own hair the way we want to without it being scrutinized, without it being a problem. We can't walk in certain neighborhoods without it being a problem. We can't go to sleep in certain places without it being a problem. We can't watch birds without it being a problem. We can't stand in the neighborhood without it being a problem. We can't eat without it being a problem. Why are we so angry? Our humanity is ostracized at every turn. And you say, well, why are we angry? We can't do anything. If we breathe wrong, I'm offended. If we look at a person in the eye, it's an act of aggression. You see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm getting at? Just think about how silly it sounds, but these are the things that we have to confront and combat each and every day of our existence in this country under this white supremacist system. So we got these problems. So this is why we, quote unquote, are angry. If your humanity, if your self-expression, if everything about you is a problem, is an offense, is a violation, is a sign that you don't want to conform, how would you be? Pretty and spiritual. You said I saw the photos of the young man's hair was nicely and neatly pinned up. It was. I saw them too. He said they are always trying to find ways to hold us back or have power over us. The devil is a liar. Power over our own body. Power over how we dress. Power over how we wear our hair. And certainly power over what we think and how we express knowledge, wisdom. Some of us get so angry. You know what I'm saying? Some folks get so angry that we're learning certain things. Come on, man. Like, this is 2023 and we're still facing problems like it's 1923. But yet, America wants to know, why is Black America so angry? Cindy D, you said they did this in the 70s with afros. They tried to say that hairstyle was bad. We turned it around. The We Black and We Proud movement came along. We still have to feel that way, Black and proud. Anastasia, my sister, you said this young man's hair is beautiful. I believe they were mad because it looked like a crown. He is a young king on the rise, so you are trying to break his spirit. He is also about to graduate and go to college. Come on. Come on. Come on. Look at that brother's head. The sad part is, here's the thing, and as we close out, folks, I got to get to our next conversation. The sad part is that every one of us who is confronted this way, any one of your children, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, your children, let's not go along to get along. Fight anyone that tries to diminish the expression of your child every step of the way. You fight. We don't have no choice but to fight. We don't let people just come into our lives or children's lives and dictate who they are. You get them jokers fired. You bring a lawsuit. We fight. We don't just sit back and just allow this to happen. And I think you said it best, Anastasia. They're trying to break his spirit. And at 17 years old, a critical time for a young Black man to come into his own, to understand who he is, that is the perfect opportunity to affirm him that he is valuable, that he is worthy, that he has the right to express himself however he sees fit. And more importantly, that his spirit stays lit. We fight. We don't go down. We don't bow down. We okay, I guess you're going to have to cut your hair. We fight. We fight every step of the way. And it might be a long, arduous process, but we fight. Not just for the today, but for those who are coming after us tomorrow, we fight. Folks, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears. Let's talk about health and wellness. Let's check in with our doctor, Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, MD, as we talk a little bit about what's going on with this latest move around the legalization of cannabis and forever chemicals found in women's hygiene products. Folks, stay with us. A lot more coming at you here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We are streaming live on our home website at Black Culture Network, Black Star Network, .com, blackstarnetwork.com, where you can find all of the latest shows, to all the past shows, and a lot more of the content that we're streaming right now. We've been streaming content today about the UAW strike, the strike of the auto workers, the Union for Auto Workers, their strike. So we've been bringing you some of the latest content around there. Plus, of course, we've had content from last week with Vice President Kamala Harris visiting North Carolina A&T. We've also been streaming content around Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson as she spoke at the 60th commemoration of the 16th Street bombing, and so much more. So go to Black Star Network today. blackstarnetwork.com, and you can see all of the activities that have been happening over this past weekend and around the country. And of course, we are streaming live on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. That's where you can join us and be a part of the culture crew for the day. And folks have been checking in from all around the country, and we are certainly thankful to everyone that has checked in already, being a part of the conversation. But folks, we thank you so much for your ongoing support. Big shout out to God's Creation for making a donation toward Black Star Network. So God's Creation, thank you so much, sister. We truly, truly appreciate you. And thank you for your investment in Black-owned media. Bridget Carter, Miss Bridget, thank you so much for being a Bring the Funk fan club member at level 1. We truly, truly appreciate you as well, Miss Bridget. And we thank you for your investment in Black media. All right, folks, let us now switch gears. Let's talk about health and wellness. I'm checking in with my sister. She's a dynamic woman, as she is a family physician. She's a cannabis expert. She's an author and an entrepreneur. Let's check in now to reclaim our wellness with Dr. Bridget, MD. All right, Doc, good afternoon. Got you on a little bit later.
It's okay. How are you, Farajii?
I'm good, Doc. How are you today?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's good to see you.
You too, you too. All right, Doc, let's talk a little bit about some of the latest things that are happening in your world, because
Sure.
you're just all over and you got your hands in a lot of different places and spaces. First and foremost, I saw this situation about the cannabis, this ongoing effort to legalize cannabis on a federal level. Last week, I know that we talked about the rescheduling of cannabis from there was a recommendation from the Department of Health and Human Services to reschedule cannabis from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 3 drug. And that decision, that final decision, will come down to the Drug Enforcement Agency. So that recommendation has been made, and as of, we're kind of waiting to see what the DEA has to say. Now, the Republicans have seemed to slowly switch gears on this idea of legalizing cannabis across the country. There's actually a bill that would let legal marijuana businesses get access to major financial and banking institutions. And it looks like this bill likely will have the votes to pass through the Senate,
Absolutely.
which had been considered to be a major hurdle. Talk to me about this. How is this going to impact the conversation around marijuana reform and legalization?
So just, for a little clarification, when we go from Scheduled 1 controlled substances to a Schedule 3, which are more like testosterone, anabolic steroids, ketamine, to be in that class, it would allow a couple of different things. It would allow us to do easier research because we have a very small amount of cannabis available for legal research for an illegal substance. And so going to Schedule 3, it'll allow for better research around cannabis, which is, very much needed. It would allow the tax code to change so that businesses that are in the cannabis space would actually be able to do the write-offs that every other business is able to do in building their businesses, and they would be, save the cannabis industry and businesses, millions of dollars. The rescheduling itself will not legalize cannabis in itself, because then it still ends up being a state to state marijuana programs that determine what's going on with that right now. And it will not allow necessarily for safe banking, which means that right now cannabis businesses have a very difficult time obtaining bank accounts, online credit card processing, or what have you. So the Senate is looking, the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee is actually expecting to hold a markup session for the bill known as the Safe Banking Act the week of September 25th. So at that point, what they're going to do is, now that we're looking, this is a step-by-step process. So now that we're going, it looks like the DA is likely to go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Now we're looking at allowing so that, businesses can actually improve their profits. We're also going to be looking at them being able to get a decent bank account. It's funny, I deal with this even now, creating some t-shirts for my book, and I can't get a credit card processing, and all I'm doing, I'm not even selling the book. I'm just selling some t-shirts to go with the book. And it's all because the name of the book has the word cannabis in it, and we're being blocked. And so it can be people on even the smallest level. So the Safe Banking Act is a really, really important aspect of this, should be tied into this, along with social equity and some other aspects that would allow cannabis to be an opportunity for everyone.
Look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's have more conversations about this, because I'm sure, Doc, that this is going to change the conversation, especially around this larger discussion about Black folks getting into the cannabis dispensary business. So I want to get your take on that as well. And so much more. Crew, join us in the conversation. We're checking in with Dr. Bridget for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness, as we talk about this latest bill that looks like it may get the approval of Republicans in the Senate to move forward to create the Safe Banking Act. This is a bill that would help to set up connect dispensaries, legal cannabis dispensaries and businesses, to major financial firms. What's your take on that? Join us in the conversation on our YouTube page as we're streaming there live under Roland Martin's name. So stay with us. The conversation continues right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been checking in with our Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness as we talked about this latest development in the larger legalization effort of marijuana in this country, how the Safe Banking Bill, Safe Banking Act, will be considered in the Senate. And there's already talk saying that this particular act, which would make it lawful for legal marijuana businesses to use major financial and banking institutions, that this act will essentially pass the Senate. Now, it's still got some hurdles in the House, but there are some Republicans who have softened their stance on this idea, and they want to see it happen. Senator Kevin Cramer, who's a Republican out of North Dakota, he's one of 8 Republicans who have signed on as co-sponsors, and he is quoted as saying, "I feel pretty good about passing the bill." In addition to Cramer, there's also the panel's chair, Sherrod Brown, who's a Democrat out of Ohio. That's your neck of the woods, right, Doc? Sherrod Brown said that it helps. He wants to see a strong vote come out of the committee, and it helps us with momentum on the floor in the House. Along with those two individuals, you have GOP Senators Dan Sullivan and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, Rand Paul of Kentucky, and Susan Collins of Maine have all signed on to the bill. And Senator Tommy Tuberville, Republican out of Alabama, had been expected to formally endorse the legislation this week, but he ultimately, according to NBC, he ultimately decided not to take the step after he faced backlash from law enforcement officials and other conservative groups back home. So he may not be making that move. So this is gaining some momentum here, Doc. This is gaining some momentum. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. If the Republicans think that this is a solid bill, the Democrats think it's a solid bill. That puts Black America right in the center of this whole conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how will this impact this other discussion of Black people getting into the dispensary owning business? How will this impact all of the business dealings? Mm-hmm. Like yourself, when you have individuals who are just trying to sell some merch and you can't get the financial backing. Talk to me from that aspect.
Yeah, I can't even sell a T-shirt, right?
Right, you can't sell a T-shirt.
Right. It'll really have an incredible impact because at the end of the day, even Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey even said that if we're going to push this bill along, he also wants social equity provisions for minorities and for women-run businesses to be a part of this, right? The fact of the matter is, out of 36 states that have, cannabis programs, only 15 have social equity programs, which means that they give some attention or thought or priority when it comes to people that have been affected by the war on drugs or minority and women, right? 13 of 18 of the adult recreational states and only 2 of the 18 medical states have any sort of social program. By pushing this bill through, minorities will be able to actually build businesses. We would be able to get loans to build a business. Right now, many of us aren't able to get into the space because we simply cannot secure the funding. And so right now, if you're looking at the numbers for 2022, 15.4% of the cannabis space is non-white ownership, but 1.2 to 1.7% of cannabis businesses are Black owned. It's so small, right?
Very small.
We can secure funding if we have the opportunity. The roadblocks into getting into space can be so overwhelming that a lot of times when there are social equity programs and Black Americans are awarded some of these opportunities, the roadblocks are so huge. A lot of them end up selling to some of these big corporate white organizations and just, taking their payout and going because it's just too overwhelming. This will give an opportunity for us to build generational wealth.
But we got to still get past the roadblocks.
Yeah. And big one is the banking. The big one is
banking. Lana, my sister, you said this act, the Safe Banking Act, will not benefit Black people. We don't get loans. So what makes us think we will be the ones who win from this? Come on, y'all. I'm not sold. This is a corporate win, not for us /private.
I will tell you, I don't disagree with her, but right now, nobody can get a loan. Nobody can get a loan. Okay. But they have to secure the funding. If somebody can get a loan, then hopefully we can get that opportunity as well. But the fact of the matter is, the way the cannabis industry is built, it does not allow for just entrepreneurs to really come in without some sort of inside connections. It is very, very difficult. And to have anything that is large and significant, to be honest, right? And do I think that this is just a buildup for the pharmaceutical companies? Absolutely. I'm not even, and you all know how I feel about that. But right now, even if you have the smallest business, you have issues. And so the program needs to provide opportunities for everyone if we're going to get any piece of that possibility and opportunity.
Do you think that this is going to open up other financial institutions, maybe smaller financial institutions, that is going to just cater to the cannabis industry?
Oh, almost like like teachers union, banking, like a probably, I could imagine, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
banks that, the ones that try to provide something for businesses kind of have carved out their own little space, and so I suspect that they'll do even more of that.
Right. Absolutely. Willie Frazier checked in. He said, Dr. Bridget, I've heard they have had pushback on Black people getting first in line for businesses in this space. Is that true?
So far, absolutely. Yeah. I'm like I said, until everybody has an opportunity, we'll never have an opportunity. And so what I'm hoping is that, like I said, even in the smallest way, the fact that I can't even get credit card processing for some t-shirts is a problem. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I know that we're talking on this large scale as far as dispensary ownership or what have you. But, if you look at, Black ownership around the country, Colorado's 2.7%, Michigan's 3.5%, and Nebraska's 5.1%. And so we're in the space. There's just not enough of us. And if we can get more opportunity, take down some of those roadblocks, I'd like to think there would be more of us in this space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And from your vantage point, at this point, Doc, do you think that this is still like a pathway for Black folks to get some form of economic or social type of, let me see, what's the best word? And I don't want to use the word reparations because I think that's a whole different thing. But is this a economic opportunity that could lead to that generational wealth and prosperity you talked about? Do you still see it that way?
I definitely, when I got into the space, I believe that. I believe that the opportunities around cannabis, that we were affected by the war on drugs, that from our ancestors, we're not written into the history books as far as cannabis use in our ancestors, but we used cannabis as medicine in our ancestry. And I did think this was something that was for us and that we should take advantage of. And it's and that could lead to generational wealth. I do think the system is set up not for us. Okay. I think that when you look at numbers that are so small, it is very discouraging. The one thing that I am hoping is that even with the descheduling or rescheduling, that like right now, a lot of the cannabis money is really dried up. If you're looking for sponsorship, loans, support from somebody, even these bigger organizations, their money is tied up. And I'm hoping with the rescheduling from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, those that tend to partner with minority businesses can start doing that again, because they will be able to do write-offs that they can't do now. So I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit of a shift. Is it the green, rush and the green brick road that people wanted it to be? I think you can't be a dreamer in this space. You have to be smart. You have to be business minded, and you have to work with people that have skill sets that can get you where you want to be. There's no easy road, I'm hoping though with change and with opening, if it becomes more available to everybody, I'm hoping that there'll be a better avenue for us. Because right now that avenue is very narrow.
Very, very narrow. So we're going to have to just keep our eyes on how this situation goes. I know that they're scheduled to have some hearings before the end of the month. And according to some of the Democrats, Doc, they are saying that they want to make a decision by this body before the end of the fall.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm hoping that this kind of pushes forward. We start to see those changes. I know that Biden has talked about doing some pardons as well. And so, like I said, I think a lot of this is a setup for the pharmaceutical companies. That's my personal opinion from what I've seen and what's going on in the back end of this. But, as this grows and develops, and cannabis becomes more mainstream, and I hope there's still space that we can still utilize as business owners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, Doc is going to break it down for us and talk to us about forever chemicals that are found in women's products, the impact that they make on women's health, and more importantly, how you can determine if the products that are in your bathroom, in your bedroom, is something that can either hurt you or harm you. We'll have that conversation up next. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We have been chatting with our resident doctor here, Dr. Bridget, MD, who serves as a family physician and an expert in many spaces. But today she wanted us to talk to us about forever chemicals, those PFAS, PFASs. And these are the chemicals that are found in period pieces, liner pads, tampons, cups, and underwear. And these are chemicals that really affect the reproductive health of women and just the hormonal health of women. This has been an ongoing conversation, though, Doc.
Yeah. This is the fact of the matter is these are man-made chemicals that, and there's not one chemical. We're talking about 12,000 different chemicals that fit into this category of the forever chemicals or the PFAS. And they were actually developed in the 1940s. So this, we've all been exposed to this, and I know we're specifically looking at, you know, women's products, but think about anything that causes a barrier as far as you know, being water protective so that it doesn't leak or what have you, that causes a coating of sorts. Okay, so we're talking about pots and pans, you know, different types of textiles that to make it stain resistant, food packaging resistant to grease, paper and cardboard boxes to make them stronger. Any substances that have these forever chemicals in it, even sanitary like diaper type things, along with tampons and period underwear and what have you, they all have this chemical, some intentionally, some non-intentionally, that are in there to create some sort of water barrier that makes the product last longer or allows you to make it stronger and resistant to water. The problem in doing these and having these type of chemicals is that it can alter your immune system. It increases cholesterol levels and causes liver disease, decrease infant and fetal growth, as well as cancers, various cancers as well. The reason we're specifically kind of focusing today where it comes to period underwear and tampons is because the highest levels of these chemicals tend to be in these particular products. And obviously, this is where it's easy for the body to absorb these chemicals. And they're called forever chemicals because once they're in your body, once they're absorbed, there's really no getting rid of them. They last an incredibly long time. And so with saying this, and like I said, everyone's coming in contact with it at some point. It's even in some foods like fish sometimes, clothing, carpeting, rain gear, cosmetics, cleaning products. So we all are exposed to it in some way or another. The problem is that, of course, unknowingly, it is setting us up for greater amounts of illness. So there's definitely been a push to regulate this, to get rid of them. There's a list of companies that either use nil to none of them. What I found difficult to find was what tampon companies or period underwear companies did not have them in it. And I could not find a name. The only thing that I could really come up with was buy natural products like organic pads and tampons, menstrual cups and wipes. Ones that are considered organic is probably the closest thing. But as far as brand name and saying go and buy this one instead, I could not even find that.
Wow. Wow. So if this is a man-made product, why is it so hard to stop?
You know, I think it does the job that people want it to do. And it's one thing for it to be the lining of a cardboard box. But for it to be the lining of your Teflon pan, or for it to be, like I said, in any sort of product that can come in contact with you and be absorbed into your body, that's another issue. And so I don't know if the issue is that they didn't realize what the effects could be, but these are harsh chemicals, and that we need to be more eco-friendly, and that we need to create something that will obviously not cause harm to humans in the process.
So, and that's the thing. Like, are we finding based on the research, Doc, that this is happening to some group of people? Like, for example, this is, you know, there are more cases of harm due to PFAS to Black women than to other groups of people. Is there research to support that, or is this just like a general warning that this is a problem?
So at this point, it's a universal warning. I mean, we're talking about 25 to 45% of the population experience incontinence. And so if you're experiencing incontinence, men or women, that you're using these, you know, sanitary type devices, and in the course of it, you're coming into contact with this. They looked at the length of days that women actually menstruate, and we're talking about 2,540 days that you're probably using some sort of product that could be an issue. And this is from a Harvard study. So at this point, they're just looking in general that this is a problem for everybody. and that we need to cut this down. So, you know, we look at the products that sit on our shelves. We trust our FDA and that they're trying to make sure that Americans are safe. But at this point, you really have to question what you're looking at. So I would highly recommend in these particular cases, use organic pads and tampons. You know, start looking at other ways of approaching this. And, you know, we'll continue to follow this and see what, you know, what type of bills come out of this, and so that there's more regulation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation with Dr. Bridget as we talk about this issue, and of course, hearing from you. Stay with us, folks. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it, because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness segment, and she's been talking to us about PFASs. That is the acronym for forever chemicals, and these are chemicals that have the power to link to essentially to make people sick. Because now they're finding out, according to the CDC, These chemicals aren't just in women hygiene products. This is also in things like firefighter gear, school uniforms. You laid it out. And then they even said that PFASs can be found in the water supply in certain areas of the country. So we are ingesting this. But one of the big things, the big stories that have come out around this is that this forever chemical exposure is linked to a higher cancer odds in women. And so now we're looking at, I'm thinking about my sisters. I'm thinking about a sister like you. I'm thinking about Black women who are going to be exposed to something like this. And yet there's no end in sight as to how we're going to handle forever chemicals. What's your take on that?
So right now, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, this wouldn't hit without something obviously being in the works. And so, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signed a bill that bans the use of these products for menstrual products, cleaning products, cookware, and dental floss. But it goes into effect in 2023. California and New York has banned them for a variety of textiles, but last year Washington did enact a PFAS phase out bill that aims to remove them from many consumer products by 2025. So they're not unaware. They are making some headway, but in the meantime, you're going to the store. And so if you're going to be going to the store, I would like you to make better purchases. I started buying more organic tampons a while ago. Just for some of the other things that I was learning about them and toxic shock and what have you. And we trust the brands that we grew up on, but the organic brands are sitting right there.
And it's not, is it more money, Doc? Is that what we're looking at? Is it more money to get organic tampons versus these like more name brand tampons?
So typically they can be a touch more expensive, and to be honest, they just don't have the same shelf appeal. What we're drawn to are, products sell based on the way that they draw you in on the shelf, right? And they tend to be, a little bit more bland, a little bit simpler packaging because they're not putting that type of money into that aspect of it. So take a closer look to see what's on the shelf and choose things that might not catch your attention immediately, but might be a safer option.
And I'm seeing, Lana, you posted something that's saying that there's a lawsuit against Simply Orange products for forever chemicals as well. Pay attention. The food and tampons are killing us.
Right,
so this is found in food products as well.
Yes, absolutely. So this is something that, we're focusing on the women's health aspect of this because of contact, but there's also ingestion of it as well. And we're all exposed to it on some level or not. I think what they're finding is that the highest levels have been in these tampons and, women's products. And that's an issue.
Wow, that's a huge, huge issue. So, okay, so we got a few moments left out. You're saying you recommend that women buy organic tampons. Okay, yeah. Any other recommendations as it relates to the food, as it relates to the material we use that might possibly have these PFASs in there? What are your recommendations?
Absolutely. So there is a list, and I can put it on my Instagram as well, that will give you a list of products without intentionally adding these forever chemicals. And this is by the site is ewg.org. And it will give you a list of the problem. They didn't really get into the women's health aspect of it, but they did go through food packaging, furniture, carpet, textiles, water repellent materials, rain gear, and other aspects that would baking goods and cookware, which I think is a big deal, as well as dental floss, because it has that waxy cover on it, and that's what that is. So definitely take a look at that, and I'll put the link on my Instagram, and we'll do the after chat today, and we can dig a little bit more into this, as well as into our conversation from last week, which led to a lot of talk about not just grieving, but grieving people that are still alive. So we'll talk about that, both of those, and the after chat today.
There it is right there. You know, Doc, to say thank you would be an understatement. The fact that we do have to have these conversations, which is why I look forward to this segment every week, because just keeping us up to date about all of these things that are happening as it relates to health and wellness. And, you know, just trying to get us to be more informed is it means a world of difference, you know. And you know, when you're talking about things like a PFAS, that is present in so many different things. Conscious Thought, you said, is present in cookware. We're talking about women's hygiene products. We're talking about juice and food products. Like, just being aware of this stuff makes a world of difference, right? And as a family physician, you know the impact that all of these things can have on both the family unit as well as the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the world is much more complex. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do my best to provide information that can make us all healthier.
Absolutely. Folks, if you want to join Dr. Bridget this afternoon, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, make sure you go to her Instagram page, Dr. Bridget MD. And folks, follow her on all social media platforms. Also, make sure y'all connect with her. Even if you say, I can't make it today, but if you just simply have a question, there we go. Contact her, email her at info@drbridgetmd.com. Again, that's info@drbridgetmd.com. She can't be your doctor unless you're in Ohio or some part of the country.
Yeah, this is true. but I'm always happy to, and a lot of the, quite a few people from the crew have reached out. So I appreciate all of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Doctor, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the forefront of these issues. And we look forward to reconnecting with you, God willing, next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Farajii.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to my online culture crew, man. We had a nice number of folks in the chat. So if for those who are new to the chat, new to the crew, welcome. And I hope that this won't be the last time we see or hear from you. We would love to continue the conversation with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank my dynamic production team, Joel, Shannon, Maddie, Chris, Lisa, and my man King Keenan for making me look and sound so good and for their work on the show. Folks, I'm telling you, we got some great stuff lined up. Tomorrow, I'm going to make a big announcement because we are growing, we are moving, we are making the type of progress that we should be making. So got a little announcement for you for tomorrow as we do the great work here at Black Star Network. So you make sure y'all tune in. Also, I got something planned for y'all. We've been working behind the scenes. I can't wait. I can't wait to get y'all thoughts on this, man. I can't wait to get you involved in this. Something big is happening as we talk about what's going on in our community. I just can't wait. I can't wait, y'all. I can't wait. So we're working on getting some final things done, but trust and believe we'll give you a sneak peek as to what you can expect for the month of October. It's something really, really big. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on all social media platforms. And we look forward to getting your support, your investment, because folks have been doing their due diligence by making sure that they're providing dope content like my sister D Bonds, like our brother Dr. Carr, Roland, of course, always, and doing all types of great things. So make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you check out all of the shows and just show your support as we are doing this great work. Again, we are streaming so much content right now, from everything from the strikers, from the strike from the United Auto Workers to the content around Vice President Kamala Harris visiting NCAA&T to Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. A lot of content. Make sure y'all take a look at it and stay informed about what's happening in Black America and what's going on with the rest of the country. We know that this week is also a big week for the Congressional Black Caucus. So you can expect to get some coverage coming from this side here on the culture, as well as, of course, on Roland Martin Unfiltered this week, as we do our due diligence to cover that major gathering of Black lawmakers that are convening in DC for their 52nd annual legislative conference. A lot of fun things are going to be discussed, a lot of conversations about the state of democracy, about hip hop, about our health and well-being. So if you haven't had a chance to tune into some of the work that the CBC is doing, you can definitely stay tuned to Black Star Network, and we'll bring you up to date on all of the latest happenings from the great CBC convention. All right, that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a great afternoon and evening. Talk to you soon. Peace.